All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Townsley, and I have the distinct pleasure of being the Executive Director of the Carroll Technology Council. It is so nice to see so many new faces here in a sea of already familiar ones. On behalf of the Carroll Technology Council, our Board of Directors, our members, again, welcome to Ignite. I'm so excited to welcome you to our Ignite Carroll 7, where our fabulous speakers will be enlightening you with their numerous passions ranging from makerspaces to peeps and everything in between in only 5 minutes. By a round of applause, who here is experiencing Ignite for the first time? All right. Welcome, welcome. You're in for a treat. Just some quick background about Ignite. As you see here tonight, Ignite Talks are a fast-paced geek event that started in 2006 by Bradley Forrest and Bree Pettis. Since the first Ignite took place in Seattle over 10 years ago, Ignite has become an international phenomenon, with Ignite events productions being hosted in Helsinki, Paris, New York, and 350 other locations. We are one of them. The mission of Ignite is that everyone speaks. They believe that public speaking builds confidence in individuals, and that events like Ignite build community. Their goal is to make it possible for anyone, anywhere, to learn to present their ideas and their stories. Shortly, you'll be hearing from 17 dynamic local community members, but they won't be telling you about their 9-to-5 jobs, rather sharing something with you that is more personal to them. Some of them are very serious, and you may cry. Other ones will have you laughing out loud. But that's the point of this evening, to be enlightened and to be inspired. Who knows, maybe next year you too will want to share one of your passions with all of us. Fortunately for me, I'm very passionate about my job and the role that I play in the community as the Executive Director of the Tech Council. When I started this journey in 2013, I was very unsure of what I was getting into, and I am the first to admit that I am a reluctant techie. And here I am 5 years later, and last year's Tech Council's Techie of the Year, and I'll be the first to tell you that I've learned a lot. All right, we'll skip all that because it's hot. We're just gonna get moving. All right. I'm dying up here. Oh, all right. The mission of the Tech Council is to provide technology, leadership, information, and resources to develop members' businesses, build strong community partnerships, and advance technology here in Carroll County. Our vision is the Tech Council will lead the way for Carroll County to be recognized as a technically advanced community with innovative businesses and tech-savvy citizenry. The CTC energizes and engages businesses and community leaders to leverage the latest technology to positively impact Carroll County. So we are very pleased to be the go-to tech resource in the community, and per our mission, strive to lead the way for Carroll County to be recognized as a technically advanced community with innovative businesses and a tech-savvy citizenry. The CTC energizes and engages and promotes community leaders to leverage the latest technology to positively impact Carroll County, and we love to have fun. Tonight is the prime example of the fun that we have. So on with the show, I'd like to introduce the host of this evening, our past chairman of the board, our Ignite Committee Chairman, and our host for 7 years, all 7 years, Vince Buscemi. Vince is a lifelong Carroll Countyan, a graduate of McDaniel College. He calls the Hill home and currently serves as their Director of Digital Marketing and Media. In his free time, which I'm not sure how he has any, he is on his way to becoming a golf pro. Bring those skills on Friday, please. A brewmaster, and is becoming quite the cigar aficionado on the weekends. He can be found at local watering holes, being the vocalist and harmonica player in 3 Sheets in the Wind. He resides here in Westminster with his wife, Sharon and Brooke, and Vince has a lot of energy for Ignite, so we were ready to experience all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ignite Carroll and Vince Buscemi.
I know. Welcome, 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 everybody, to the Carroll Sweatbox. We're taking a collection during intermission to help fix and save the air conditioning unit in this place. It's got a lot of history. I wish that history included a cool room at the moment. But you know, I guess there's a benefit because some of us are probably going to drop a few pounds, and I know, speaking for me with all the beer I drink, that's not a bad thing at all. So we're about to get rolling here. So first off, I want to say thanks to Katie and to the entire Carroll Technology Council. This really was brought through the Tech Council because we saw this amazing opportunity to ignite this county, and the county that we all know and love, and hear about all these passionate people that are talking about things that you wouldn't expect them to be talking about maybe. And it's going to make you think and ponder and get excited and intrigued. You're going to be happy and sad, and all these emotions are great and wonderful. And so So thank you all for being here, especially all of the newcomers. We have a lot of new speakers that are here. We also have some veteran speakers. So first and foremost, again, thank you to the Tech Council and to Katie, and through the Tech Council, they're sustaining sponsors. So really, this is a program that's offered through the Tech Council. We wouldn't be able to do it without the fine folks at these organizations and the foundations listed below. Also, a big shout out to my friend Aaron and everyone at the Community Media Center in the back, because they're recording this evening. They broadcast it, I believe, on the Channel 19 channel. They chop them up into YouTube-sized videos for us. So you can find all of our previous Ignite presentations from the past 6 years on our website. And that's just added to the thousands and thousands of presentations that have been recorded and presented worldwide over the last decade. And so really, I guess the next question is, what is Ignite, right? So Ignite is a type of a TED Talk, if you will, where someone is going to be sharing their passion. But unlike a TED Talk, there's a very specific format. So each presenter has 20 slides. They will auto-advance every 15 seconds. And that totals 5 minutes. So the theme is enlighten us, but make it quick, okay? For our speakers, yes, I'm serious, the slides auto-advance, okay? Don't test me on it. When I hit the button, and tonight, I have the magic button right here. As soon as that button goes, you're on. There'll be a title slide that I will introduce you. When you come up to the stage, I will hold a wireless mic in my hand. If you take it, that's your mic to use, and you can go wherever you want. Right? I'm switching Aaron up right now, but there we go, right? So now I'm live over here, and I'm talking to you all in front of the presentation. So be mindful of where you are on stage at all times, and remember that you've got something going on behind you, so just be mindful of that. If you don't take this mic, that means you're over here. Okay? And you're going to be on this mic here. There also, we worked out the lavalier mic, so you guys already have that game plan. So again, when I introduce you, I will just hold this. If you grab it, that's what you're using. Make sure Aaron in the back knows. Otherwise, you're on the podium mic here. If you stumble, just take a deep breath, okay? Just relax. Just chill out. Figure out where it is in the presentation that you are, and keep going, all right? There is a blank black slide at the very end of your presentation. When you see that, if you're still talking, imagine the Gong Show and me with a big giant hook. I'm gonna come up on stage and ask you to stop talking. That is it. 5 minutes is the limit, all right? So please try to adhere to that as much as possible. I haven't had to do that yet, so fingers crossed that we're not gonna have to do that today. For the audience, everyone right now, check to make sure that your cell phone or any digital device is silenced. 5 minutes is not a lot of time for people to be interrupted up here on stage. Okay, this takes a lot of guts and courage to get up here, and so we don't want any distractions. Also, please, no flash photography, but please take pictures, take video, share it on your social stream, share it with your friends, tell them what they're missing if they're not here, and make sure that they understand what a wonderful program this is in our community. Be supportive, clap, encourage, do whatever you can to do. There you go, someone's working it out already, thank you. And really help move things along and again, just in a positive atmosphere. That's what we want. And then, of course, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right? So, without further ado, here we go. You can hit me up at Vince Buscemi if you want. Tell me what a wonderful job that I'm doing. Please don't tell me how much I suck. I don't like that. And with this heat, I don't know if I can take it too well. I may cry, or I'll just blame it on the sweat that's currently running down my face. We'll see. Hit us up at Ignite Carroll to keep that conversation going. So all of us participating online, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, can join in the conversation and see what people are saying about each of our presenters. And of course, the Carroll Tech is up there too if you want to shout out to them and what a great job that we're all doing here. So what do you say? Are we ready? All right. Our first presenter is Jen Bishop. She is the Online Services and Emerging Technologies Supervisor for Carroll County Public Library, where she connects the community to emerging technologies. She has helped launch new technology initiatives, including Carroll County Public Library's 3D printing service, the Exploration Point Makerspace, and virtual augmented reality projects. Jen is an avid maker, VR, AR enthusiast, and Raspberry Pi certified educator. I love that. We gotta talk, because that sounds, in fact, that might be another Ignite presentation. I'm just saying. Please help me welcome Jen Bishop as she enlightens us as to what's to come at Exploration Commons at 50 East. Please welcome Jen.
Good evening, and I'm honored to share my excitement about Exploration Commons at 50 East, an experiential learning hub that supports Carroll County Public Library's mission of lifelong learning by providing access to the latest technologies, tools, and resources. Carroll County Public Library is working with architects from Mann's Woodward Studios to transform the 14,000 square foot lower level of the Westminster Branch Library from an underutilized, empty basement into Exploration Commons at 50 East, an interactive space where people, ideas, and tools come together to create, innovate, and collaborate in a tech-focused makerspace, culinary literacy center, and collaborative meeting space. The makerspace will provide community access to tools and resources for design and fabrication to bring your ideas to life. All skill levels are welcome in this safe, exploratory learning environment, offering both self-directed and staff-guided learning. This new, larger makerspace will build on the current success and experience of both the Ting Makerspace and Exploration Point at the Eldersburg branch. The Ting Makerspace will merge into this new makerspace as part of the Ting CCPL partnership. The Makerspace will offer an introduction to digital fabrication and equipment, including 3D printers, laser engraver cutter, and CNC machine, to support prototyping as well as electronics exploration with circuits, microcontrollers, and robotics. Immersive media experiences will be available to connect people to new ways of visualizing and interacting with information and learning, such as virtual and augmented reality, along with opportunities to explore game and app development. The Makerspace will have a digital media production studio with a variety of state-of-the-art tools for audio and video recording and editing and the creation of podcasts to support your personal, educational, and professional projects. Textile equipment, including sewing machines, an embroidery machine, and a serger, will support design and production to allow makers to create traditional textile projects, such as apparel and household items, as well as e-textiles and so much more. The Culinary Literacy Center will provide a professional teaching kitchen and opportunities to advance multiple literacies through cooking. Culinary literacy embodies learning through cooking, such as scaling recipes to strengthen math skills and learning about cooking and healthy eating. Programming will focus on basic cooking skills, nutrition and understanding the connection between our health and the food we eat, participatory cooking classes to explore new cuisines and cultures, and presentations by chef and cookbook authors. The Culinary Literacy Center will provide community access to a professional-level kitchen for personal projects if someone needs more space than their home kitchen allows, or if they need access to a specific piece of equipment. Exploration Commons at 50 East will provide much-needed meeting space with a large meeting room seating over 150 people for library and community events, a classroom to support group learning, and collaborative work or study spaces for small groups and individuals. Self-directed and staff or instructor-led learning opportunities will be offered for a variety of skill levels, topics, and ages. Dedicated staff will be on hand to support the community with getting started using the available equipment and resources. The design process is well underway with the expertise of Mann's Woodward Studios and in partnership with Carroll County Bureau of Building Construction. Construction will begin in 2019, with Exploration Commons at 50 East opening its doors to the public in June 2020. Mann's Woodward Studios and Carroll County Public Library have gathered input on the design and educational needs of the community through various focus groups to determine the specific design, resources, and programming for this new space. Thank you to the Maryland State Library, Carroll County Board of Commissioners, and Ting Westminster for their substantial financial support for this project. In addition, over 60 individuals and groups have already committed $128,000 towards the project. Exploration Commons at 50 East also has many collaborative partners to connect expertise, programming, mentoring, and more. Carroll County Public Library is working with all of our partners to support the community's education, innovation, and technology ecosystem. The Road to Tech Excellence is the fundraising campaign for Exploration Commons at 50 East. We hope that you will support the project and ask that you consider sharing your ideas and expertise with the Carroll County community as part of this new experiential learning space. You can get more information and follow project updates for Exploration Commons at 50 East via our website, explorationcommons.car.org, and our dedicated Facebook page. Thank you.
All right, that's how you kick off Ignite Carroll 7, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Our next presenter is Sumer Abro. Is that correct? Close enough. Oh, I'm so sorry. This gentleman right here is on a mission. is on a mission to help small business owners and startups build their dream business, having worked for and with businesses of all sizes and shapes all over the world. He understands what it takes to generate more leads and convert them on an ongoing basis. As business development and turnaround specialist, this gentleman's area of expertise are business growth, referral networking, and leadership development, whereby he coaches people one-on-one, facilitates workshops, and thrives on public speaking gigs like Ignite. An engineer by qualification and an entrepreneur by choice, Sumer? Yep, got it. There it is. Is passionate about helping people to think big and take massive actions to get results. Please welcome Sumer as he enlightens us on a seller's dilemma.
In words of Henry Ford, any customer can order any car in any color as long as it's black. Now, this famous quote is from an era when sellers had all the power. But times have changed, right? With unlimited choices, buyers have all the power. Would you agree? Yes or no? Yes. Having said that, I'm going to tell you that it's not that simple. Now, I work with a lot of business owners, and they tell me that their customers, when they look at their offers and their competitors, they're confused because everything's pretty much the same, which results in them making decisions on prices and on value. So imagine this. How many parents in this room? Lots of this. Imagine this. You're looking for a daycare for your child. You start researching and you come across this first daycare. You know, looks fancy, professionally done, has their phone number. Here's another one, high quality, more than 40 years. Pretty soon you see a pattern. And what the pattern says is that every business you come across says the same thing. High quality, call us today, 40 years, family business. That's all great. But where is the differentiation? Where is the value in terms of setting yourself apart from the competition? And how do we fix this? Well, there is a better way. Two things. Number one, it's not just about focusing on now buyers. It's also about building your market dominating position. But how do we do that? And more importantly, is it possible for any business to do that? Absolutely. As long as a business owner, we are committed to work on the business and not just in the business. Building on this, let me share a few examples of some of the daycares. Isn't this amazing? That this daycare has figured it out. That parents actually do care about what they feed their children. And that's the kind of examples I'm talking about in terms of how you can set yourself apart. Let's look at this one. This daycare has figured out that, your child wants attention. They just don't want to be treated as a number. What you'll see in, this daycare example and some of the other slides which, you will see, something very simple. Building a market dominating position is not just about catering a small segment, but it's about doing something that you are able to cover a large chunk of your target market. I can't think of any parent who would look at this and say, "Nah, this daycare is not for my child." What do you say, yes or no? Okay, finally awake. So, what I wanted to say is, any business owner, how do we start this? Two things. Number one, let's look at how people use their emotions. We like to think that, we use a lot of logic to make decisions, but at the end of the day, it's emotions. We care more about what we want than, what we need. That's the first thing. Secondly, people get attracted to businesses which use simple language and they're unique. Nothing, from the textbook or copy and paste from another website. In essence, the idea of a business owner is to inspire action, And speaking of inspiration, in the end, I'll just, take you back to the 60s. Remember the 60s, anyone in this room? Yeah. Few of us, awesome. So in the 60s, there was a big race, who will get to the moon first between two superpowers of the world, right? And what happened was NASA was at the forefront of all of this. JFK was the president. And he wanted to use something to inspire the nation. And he looked at this mission statement and he was like, too wordy. He didn't use this. What he used was something so simple and unique that to this day, people still remember it. Does anyone remember what he did, what he said? Yeah, we'll put a man on the moon and return him safely by the end of the decade. Something that people still remember. And that's something which inspires everyone. So to finish it off, we as business owners, people, parents, children, human beings, we have the choice to raise the bar. Not only for us, for people around us. And if we do that, we'll be able to live our American dream. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Thank you.
It does go by quick, doesn't it? All right, thank you so much. Next up, it's me. There we go. Aaron and Annabelle Allport. Aaron has been homeschooling Belle, a freshman in high school, and her two younger siblings for a full 6 years now, and wouldn't have it any other way. Belle is an avid horse and book lover, currently rewriting the last 3 of the Harry Potter books for fun. Seriously? Another Ignite presenter in the future right there. One of the cool opportunities that homeschooling has given the Allports is to be able to be home enough to raise puppies for the Seeing Eye. It has been a hugely rewarding endeavor, which not only allows them to get a new puppy every year, but they are providing a blind person with a loving companion while also being their hero. They are currently raising their second puppy, which you will get to meet in just a minute, and in the future, Belle will be half training the Allports' third puppy and fully training puppy number 4 and 5. And in case you didn't catch the connection, Aaron is the better half to Chris Allport, whom we'll hear from in just a little bit. So please help us welcome Aaron and Belle Allport to the stage as they enlighten us about the Seeing Eye.
We're here tonight to talk about a wonderful organization called the Seeing Eye. This organization works to breed, raise, and train Seeing Eye guide dogs for the blind. These dogs truly are the superheroes in every sense of the word. We want you to take a few seconds to imagine a world of darkness. Imagine not being able to use your vision to help you navigate this dark world. Imagine having to stumble around and find your way all alone. But now imagine having a best friend who stays by your side 24/7 to guide you around, to help you navigate your dark world. A friend who can retrieve things for you, who can be an ever-present comfort for you when you're sad, lonely, frustrated, or lost.
The Seeing Eye began back in 1928 by 20-year-old Frank Morris. Frank was blind himself and traveled to Europe to learn about guide dogs. He began training them here immediately, thus beginning what is now the world's oldest guide dog training program. In the last 90 years, over 17,000 guide dogs have been paired with a blind person. And that's only the top 60% or so of the puppies that have been born into this program. Becoming a Seeing Eye dog is tough, and only the best get to wear that vest with pride. It costs $65,000 to raise a guide dog. This includes all the care and training, including 3 weeks of 24/7 training at the training center for the dog and their blind match. The best part is that the Seeing Eye hasn't raised its price for the blind people since they began.
Besides being a constant companion and friend, they can be trained to guide people through busy city streets, learn how to retrieve different items for their owner, and stay calm in a panic. There was even a dog who guided their blind person down 79 floors during the 9/11 attack. Picture getting a 7-week-old puppy with a smushy face and wagging tail, watching it grow up into a superhero, and then getting a brand new puppy all over again. The Seeing Eye provides all of their food and vet care costs, and so the biggest cost is having to say goodbye when they go off to puppy college. What do you need to do as a puppy raiser? We simply need to love the puppies, teach them the basic commands like sit, down, stay, etc., and we potty train them and take them out in public to experience being around lots and lots of people and exciting things.
These are the two strange commands that we need to teach. Instead of teaching a guide dog to heel or follow slightly behind you, you need to teach them to take control and lead or go forward. That's how they're going to guide their blind person. And you also teach them to P-A-R-K instead of go potty. This saves the blind person a lot of embarrassment. You get to take your puppy out to socialize them and get used to being out in public. You get to go to movie theaters and bowling alleys, etc. Their vest allows them to go just about everywhere with you, and they love their trips. But what about those who say, my dog would never listen? Well, we've heard this so many times, but our pet dogs wouldn't listen either. These dogs aren't pets. They begin their training within the first few days of life, but also they're just bred very well. Only the absolute best of the best become breeders.
The breeders are chosen for their temperament, their small size, good health, and their intelligence. These dogs really are the cream of the crop. Meet our second puppy, Enzo. He's an 8-month-old yellow lab and will be going back to the Seeing Eye for puppy college next July. He has already mastered all of his basic commands. He is just working on following them when there is lots of distractions all around him. Our first Seeing Eye puppy, P-Roy, went back March 1st, and hopefully he is being matched with his forever friend this week. We got to go and watch him do his final town walk, and they said he is exactly what they look for in a guide dog and couldn't be happier with him.
The Seeing Eye is great at keeping you in the know. They send you letters every step of the way, knowing that you gave a piece of your heart to them. They let you know how the training's going, when their final test is, and they even tell you about the person that they get matched with. What happens once they graduate? Hopefully they'll be matched with someone the same month that they graduate and will spend the next 3 weeks in full-time training with them on campus. Then they'll go home with their forever friend. These dogs truly are amazing and really do become superheroes in the lives of the blind. They give them a chance at life that they otherwise wouldn't have, and they get to have someone right by their side every second of every day to make their world just a little bit more comforting.
And it truly is a privilege to be able to raise these puppies for such a good cause. Yes, of course, it's so sad and heartbreaking when it's time for them to go back, but you know what a huge superhero he's going to be for someone else, just like he has been to you. It makes it totally worth it. If you'd like more information, you can check out the website at www.theseeingeye.com, or you can come ask us questions, and of course, you may come meet Enzo, future superhero.
Don't worry, Enzo. When I first started doing this, they had to do the same thing to me. Put me on a leash. I was gnawing on it, and I was all over the place. It gets a little easier, I promise you, all right? Thanks so much for that. That's a really cool organization, is it not? I mean, seriously, really, really well done. Next up, we have David Highfield. David has been a resident of Carroll County since 1992. Dave is retired and gives back to the community through his membership in the Rotary Club of Bonds Meadow by singing with the Old Line Statesman Barbershop Chorus, another future Ignite presentation, I'm just saying, and by serving on the board of directors of Carroll Food Sunday. He and his wife Connie are active with Westminster United Methodist Church and enjoy traveling by train. David is not only a train rider, he's a rail fan. Welcome Dave Highfield as he enlightens us with I Take the Train.
Yes, I'm not only a train rider, but I'm a rail fan. If the train goes there, I take it. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to take the train north to New York and Boston, to take the train to Brunswick, Maine. I've taken the train to Montreal and Quebec. I've taken the train across Canada through the Canadian Rockies. One of my favorite trains is the Capital Limited, which starts in Washington, D.C. and goes to Chicago. And in Chicago, I connect with the Empire Builder, which goes across the north part of our country, stopping for a vacation in the Glacier National Park and traveling on to Seattle and Portland. Starting in Chicago, I've taken the California Zephyr. It's another overnight train that goes to Denver and then through the beautiful Colorado Rockies on to Emeryville, California, just outside of San Francisco. I've taken the train called the Southwest Chief through the middle of America, gotten to Texas, taken the train to New Orleans, taken the train from New Orleans back home to Baltimore. It's an amazing opportunity. My favorite train, maybe of all, is the auto train. I take my auto to Lorton, Virginia, where it is loaded onto a car carrier. I get into the train in a roomette or a bedroom, a comfortable seat, and overnight, with meals provided, the next morning we arrive in Sanford, Florida. The attendants take my auto off of the car carrier and I drive to my destination in Florida. It's a great opportunity. And speaking of driving, one of the big advantages of taking the train is it takes our autos off of the roads. It saves us stress and gasoline and all those stops we have to make. And taking the train is very environmentally friendly. Other advantages to taking the train. A big one is you don't have to be there 2 to 3 hours early. There is no visible security screening. No pat-downs, no x-rays, no searching your luggage. In fact, and I've done this, you can arrive at the station and the platform 1 minute before the train arrives and climb on board with your luggage in your hand. When you get on board, you have the opportunity to have a roomette, a bedroom, or a relaxing seat with plenty of leg room. And when you push the seat back and pull the tray table down and go to your electronic devices, there's no attendant walking up and down the aisle telling you you have to put your seat up, you have to put your tray table up, you have to turn off your electronic devices and buckle your seatbelt, because there is no seatbelt on the trains. You can get up and walk in the aisle as you wish. You can go get a cup of coffee or a snack. If you're on a long-distance overnight train, most of them have a great dining car with a great menu and service at your seat. And you can see the country out of expansive windows. I've gone down the coast of California by train and watched the beautiful Pacific Ocean. It's such a great opportunity to see the country, and so much better than 30,000 feet above the United States. Taking the train. Not long ago, my wife and I drove to Ocean City, Maryland. A Friday afternoon. And by Saturday morning, I was still thinking, I was still complaining about, gosh, that's so stressful, and the stop and go and the backups and all of that. And Saturday morning, we walked to the south end of the boardwalk at Ocean City, Maryland, and there was a plaque explaining some of the history of Ocean City. And on that plaque, it said that the train had gone to Ocean City, Maryland up until 1933. If the train still went there, I would have taken it. Thank you.
All right. Who wants to take a train with David, right? I absolutely want to take a train ride right now. I was brought up with the model railroading stuff that my dad did with the Western Maryland Railway Historical Society right up in Union Bridge, by the way. That's like, I've never actually thought about just putting my car into a train and relaxing and taking a trip down to Florida. I love it. Absolutely great. Thank you. Next up, Lauren is the founder and managing director of Alderson Loop, an IT and marketing project staffing solutions company. Alderson Loop was named the fastest growing company in Baltimore by the BBJ in 2017 and was recently named to Inc. magazine's 500 list of fastest growing privately held companies in America. Lauren is also an active member of the board of directors for the National Kidney Foundation, serving both Maryland and Delaware. She was chair of the 2017 and 2018 Greater Baltimore Kidney Walk and sits on the steering committee. Lauren was also a recipient of the 2018 Women's Leadership Award by CEO Report magazine and a Baltimore Business Journal 40 Under 40 honoree. Lauren, yeah, give it up. Lauren has a podcast, How Did Her Career Get There?, and is married with 2 daughters. Please welcome Lauren as she enlightens us about what is success.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you to the Carroll Tech Council for putting on this fantastic event. So I'm going to jump right into it. And my goal over the next 5 minutes is to reframe how some of us think about success. And I'm passionate about this topic because throughout my career, I've talked with and interviewed maybe thousands of people. And whenever the topic or question comes up, some version of how do you define success or what is success to you, a lot of people struggle with it. Their eyes glaze over or they look away as they're answering the question, and it's challenging for a lot of people to answer. So it always got me thinking, if you don't know how you're defining success, then how do you know if you're successful? And for some things, it's objective and it's easier to measure, right? So, if you want to earn a certain amount of money or get a certain job title, those are easily measurable things. Outside of work, if you want to lose 20 pounds, that's something that's easily measurable. But what about all of the other areas? The challenge or struggle for me was, what about all of the other areas of my life? As a holistic person, how do I know if I'm being a good mom or being a good spouse or being a good boss? So it got me thinking and kind of redefining my definition of success. And it's really simple and clean for me. It is be the best version of yourself at any given point. And in that one statement, it beautifully encompasses everything. So what do I mean by that? If at any point, I'm a big believer that you can't lie to yourself. You can lie to people around you, but I feel like you always have that little voice inside your head that's keeping you honest. And so if you ask that little voice at any given moment, am I being the most honest that I can be? Am I being the most ethical? Am I helping people when I can? Am I taking care of myself when I need to? And if you do an audit on yourself at any point in time, then at that moment, I deem that as success. If you're being the best that you can be at any moment. And as those little moments add up over time, then it ends up having you be able to accomplish what it is in life that you want to accomplish. And I think it's also really important to be present in the moment with whatever it is that you're doing. So if I'm on vacation with family or friends, am I watching how I'm a beach girl? Am I watching how the water, the sun's hitting the water, or am I thinking about some client issue that I have at work? If I ask one of my employees, hey, how was your weekend? Am I listening to what they're saying for the minute that they're talking, or am I thinking about my grocery list? And if you're present in the moment, what I've found in really listening and engaged in the conversations, then you're being the best employee or the best spouse or the best parent that you can be in that exact moment. And I think that's really important. And so this example might resonate with someone, with some people. So I've talked to people also that, say, I don't like my job. I don't like my job, and I don't like, because I don't like my boss and I'm not passionate about what I'm doing. And I believe that if you can kind of rewire your approach to that, instead of I'm going to do something for somebody else that doesn't bring me value, if you can rewire how you think about that to I'm providing a service or a talent getting money for it, which then allows me to do the things that are important to me, right? Take dance lessons or buy a new video game or travel or pay my bills or put clothes on my kids' back, whatever it is. If you reframe it, then it's not so much that you're going to do it for somebody else, but that you're doing it for yourself, and it can help be more present in the moment with what you're doing. I think it's also important to realize that how one person's success should not be measured against others, right? I will never be Serena Williams. I will never be arguably the best tennis player ever in the world. But I'm not measuring against her, right? I'm measuring against what I'm capable of and what I believe is important. And I think that as you do that, it gives yourself, it gives the opportunity to kind of give yourself a break sometimes. I think that giving, it's impossible to give 100% all the time, right? If a capability of what any one of us can do is 100% at any given point, practicality comes into life, right? Stresses, things that limit, you're tired, you don't get a good night's sleep, whatever those things are. But if at any given moment you can give 80% of what you have, then in my mind, that's being successful. That's giving everything that you can at that exact moment. And maybe one day I'm 80% as a mom and 100% as a business owner, and another day that switches. That's what's important, and I think that's success to me. Thank you.
Excellent job. That was really cool. And I loved the, she used the same slide over and over again technique. So we were really focused on her and not the slides. I like it. All right. My friend, Chris. After living in denial for many years, Chris Allport has decided to embrace his true self as the consummate geek. In front of his family as well, so this is great. When he is not spending time with his amazing wife and 3 awesome kids, or coaching baseball, or building a portal into another dimension in his basement. That's a thing? That's another Ignite talk right there. He is playing board games. Oh, actually, he's usually working. But aside from that, it's the board games that I think is a really unique aspect of Chris's life. Although he spends him and his family reside in Hanover, Chris is co-founder of 2 Carroll County companies, New Spin Robotics and Scale. Please welcome Chris Allport as he enlightens us with not your typical board game.
You may be wondering, does anyone still play board games today? I think I saw the same Game of Life on the shelf at Target with that same Family Ties dad on the cover. And why am I still on this slide? There we go. Why in the heck are those adults laughing at Ron Howard doing something horrible to that woman on the front of a child's game? So I won't be talking about any of those games, nor will I be talking about the many versions of Monopoly. Tonight I'll be talking about what for many of you will be a whole new world of board games. Is there really that much variation in board games? So thanks for asking. The website Board Game Geek lists 50 different mechanics and 84 different themes. Combine any single mechanic with any single theme, and you have a unique game. Imagine the number of possibilities when you mix and match any of these things. In our short time together, I'm going to share some of our family's favorite board games. And a lot of board game people use a lot of geeky terms. Just before I mess up, this is a meeple. It's short for my people, and these are little things we move around on our games. So, Pandemic. Pandemic is a cooperative strategy game. Wait, in a cooperative game, who wins? Everyone or no one? In this game, you have a team of first responders, each with a unique skill, moving around the world to contain and eradicate 4 viral outbreaks. This is Clank. It's a deck-building adventure game. I'll explain deck builders in a couple of minutes. Unlike the previous game, you're competing to be the best thief in all the land. Enter the castle, steal some loot from the dungeons below, and escape. Sounds simple, maybe, but don't make too much noise or you're gonna scare the dragon who's gonna come and kill you. Scythe. This is an area control conquest game. If you remember the game Risk, yeah, it's like that, but with robots. You start as a small farming community, collect resources, and build these awesome mechs that give you additional abilities and, of course, power to conquer. The folks over at League of Legends decided to develop a strategy board game. This is another cooperative game focused on strategy, action, and programming. Yes, you control a robot that can move, turn, or attack. Each round you add new cards which change or enhance these actions, allowing you to run the bad guys off the board. Dominion, first deck builder. You start with the game with 10 cards. Each round, you use those cards to buy new cards. Whoever has the most property at the end of the game wins. No, not like Monopoly. Stone Age. This is a worker placement game. You take turns placing your meeple, and then you resolve the effect. Maybe meeples make a baby meeple, so you have more people to play in the next round. Yeah, it's a thing. Gather resources, build villages to win, but don't forget to feed your meeple. Yeah, can you believe someone made a game about winemaking? Viticulture is an engine building and worker placement game. Over the course of the game, you develop your ability to produce a high quality wine as you grow and harvest grapes. Survive. This is the exact opposite of a cooperative game. In this game, you actively try to make sure your friends are eaten. Try to escape a sinking island while avoiding whales that kill your boats, sharks that kill you, and sea serpents that kill the boat and then kill you. Lost Cities. This is a simple two-player game in which you build stacks of cards in increasing values from 2 to 10. Each turn, you play a card and you draw a card, but it's not too simple. You need a minimum of 20 points in your stack, and if you don't have enough, you get penalized. Splendor, another engine builder. Collect the gems in the form of these really nice poker chips. Everybody loves the poker chips. And as you collect the gems, you buy more cards that allow you to buy higher priced cards in the future. Power grid. Ever want to be in the power industry? Me either. Build a power plant and power as many cities as possible while you balance the cost of the power plant with the cost of the resources needed to power the plant with the cost of to build the plant. And if you're ever bored of this game, you could probably find a Westminster map to go with it. Where can I find great games? You can find them just about anywhere online. I was pleased to see that Westminster's very own Gotham Comets has many of these great games. We get a lot of our games at Cool Stuff Inc. and Kickstarter. So you may be wondering how we learn to play these games. This is our hint. Just watch the video. They don't tell you everything, but they give you a great overview. And Rado is more ADD than me. Last year, we went up to Philly for PAX Unplugged. This was the inaugural event of an East Coast board game convention, a total geek fest. It was awesome. There were thousands of games you could play, brand new games that were just announced. And then that inspired us to have Unplug and Connect back in February. This was a place we were with the Carroll Tech Council. We had a board game night, about 50 attendees, and we're going to do it again at the end of November. So stay tuned for that.
All right, I got it. We take a train ride with David. We bring Chris and all of his board games. We go across the country over to California. We hit San Diego Comic-Con. While we're there, we also hit Wine Country. I'll do the beer brewing presentation again. We'll talk about that. It'll be a great time, right? Who's with me? And the puppies. Oh, of course, Enzo comes too. That's a given. That's a given.
But you're going to the opposite side of the world.
All right, next, Cassandra Casey. Spunky, energetic, animated, brave. These are just a few of the words used to describe Cassandra Casey. She is a mom of 2 great kids and leads Girl Scout Troop 307 right here in Westminster. As a co-pastor of the Laurel Community of Christ, she runs many services and events. Mrs. Casey is a frequent guest on the Mats at the TriStar Martial Arts Dojo. She is a member of the Glendon Area Players Theater Troupe, and Cassandra is known around Carroll Community College as the coordinator of lifelong learning and summer kids at Carroll plus teen college camps. She grew up in Raytown, Missouri, but is proud to call Carroll County her home. Please welcome Cassandra Casey as she enlightens us about I Wonder. Cassandra.
Normally it's my daughter that introduces me, and she usually calls me Mom. But she often gives many of the highlights that were just given by Vince. I wonder, when I named my presentation, I hoped it would make you wonder. Wonder is the story of Augie, a 5th grade boy with a facial deformity. This book and movie have allowed me to share my story because I was also born with a facial deformity, though not as severely medical as Augie's. No one but my grandmother noticed any difference about my face. When I was a few weeks old, she noticed a fullness on the left side. And if you're noticing it in these pictures, neither one of them is me. Staring. It really does happen just about every day. It was more noticeable when I was young. I think it's because either I noticed it more often or people expected children to look a certain way. Usually I'm polite enough not to notice, but when I can't help it, I dance. Now, this is the strategy I came up with when I was about 8 years old. People are going to stare at me. I might as well be entertaining. Now they're staring at my cool dance moves and not my face. The thing they remember is how silly and funny I am. My friend, Tiambe Page, does a great talk about branding. Listening to her made me realize that I have a personal brand. It's an easy way to identify myself in a group. If you've ever been in a meeting with me, you know what I mean. I clap, cheer, and say, woohoo, for just about everything. I make a choice to be excited about TPS reports or budget projections. I make a choice to change how people perceive me. I make a choice not to be bothered by staring, but to entertain people instead. In the movie, Augie talks about if Chewbacca came to his school, he would probably stare. I am not immune to staring at other people. When I catch myself, I try to think of a compliment to give that person. Not about something they own, because that isn't really a compliment about them. I try to make it a compliment about the action the person has taken. Sometimes I can create a sense of pride for that person. I like to try to give as many standing ovations as I can, to let people know they are appreciated. Like instead of saying, I really like that jacket, I might say, you're rocking that jacket. I like the way you put your outfit together. Your style is fierce. Bullying. Less than you might think. I stood up to bullies with my words. Having 2 older siblings allowed me to call the bullies sophomoric and plebeian, which was hard to respond to on an elementary playground. I knew I could take the teasing, so I put myself between the bullies and their prey. I never had to deal with physical fights. But when I give kids advice, I say stay calm, make a joke if you can. In the story, Augie hides his face to avoid being looked at. He wears an astronaut's helmet and loves Halloween to be a normal kid. I was never really one for hiding. I love to pose for pictures. In fact, my mom says I used to sing when I opened the refrigerator door. Hey, it's a spotlight. I always prefer to be asked about my face, and I don't mind asking questions. But sometimes people make up their own answers and spread rumors, like I was in a car accident. Although the craziest one was abducted by aliens. I had fun with that one. After you ask, listen. Too many people hear me say birth defect, and then they say, yeah, but there was an accident too, right? In the words of Lady Gaga, I was born this way. I have a non-hereditary genetic mutation. Basically, my genes got together and said, let's be fabulous. I didn't get it from my parents, and I didn't pass it on to my children. I was lucky enough to have a great support system. I have family, friends, and a belief system that have offered me great support. I also stayed in the same school system for all 13 years, so kids got used to me, and my family was always there for me. You may not know what it's like to be me. As a kid, I felt lucky to get out of school for doctors. I hated having surgery. Amnesia makes me sick. But all in all, I can't imagine being anyone else.
I got goosebumps. Goosebumps, I tell you. Great job. We've got people standing for you, Cassandra. That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Mike Sheila is next. Speaking of storytellers. In 2012, Mike began sharing his ideas on LinkedIn, sales, and emotional intelligence with audiences all around the Mid-Atlantic. A self-proclaimed sales nerd, you can see Mike speaking at dozens of local colleges and universities about a career in sales and finding a job. Mike is also very Googleable once you know how to spell his last name, of course. You can find him as a guest on over 30 different podcasts and on a regular segment guest on Fox 45 Morning News in Baltimore. So now, this is very difficult for me because when Mike takes the stage, he will now be the person that has presented the most at Ignite Carroll. We are now tied. We are now tied with 3 presentations each. This is number 4. I don't have a robe or a sort of special belt for you, buddy, but I'm so glad to have you back on the stage. Everyone, please welcome Mike Sheila as he enlightens us his experience was the 1-year self-employment. Do you want wireless or you good? All right.
Hello, Westminster. My name's Mike Sheila, and for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about an exciting adventure that started for me in the summer of June 2017, which I call 1 Year Self-Employed. Now, I had some other ideas for titles, but after reviewing them, I figured, let's go with 1 Year Self-Employed. I think that's a little more concrete. So you're probably wondering, well, Mike, what happened? In June of 2017, I was working for a company, I won't mention the name, rhymes with Momcast, and I was called into work one day and was told that I was being fired, which really took me by surprise. And I thought, okay, if this is happening, let's take Mike Sheila Consulting full-time. Let's take it off the shelf as a part-time enjoyment, and let's go full-time. And I've started with my network. I needed to leverage my network, particularly LinkedIn, because I'll find my customers there. Now, I didn't really know who my customers were going to be. I thought they would be salespeople. That was my first thought, that people in the sales world would be interested to hear what I have to say. And I could train them, and I could teach them, and I could show them all the strategies that I've learned in sales, and I would make a lot of money doing that. And it would be wonderful, and it would be great, or not. Salespeople didn't want to listen because salespeople know everything, just ask them. So I had to find my audience, and I was really surprised at the people that decided to hire me, the people that wanted to work with me. It was my fraternity. It was the director of marketing for businesses. It was the Virginia Recreation and Park Society. Now, I don't know if you're picking up on this, but what does the Virginia Recreation and Park Society want to do with Mike Sheila? They hired me to speak at their conference, and I said, let's take it on the road. I'll see the world, and people will pay me money to share my ideas and share my passion and share my great stories, and it's going to be wonderful, and it's going to... No. If you're not famous, people don't want to pay you money to speak at their events. Not on a consistent basis, not enough that pays the mortgage. And I said, okay, well then what am I going to do? I know, I'll plan my own events. Why not, right? Plan my own events. So I found people in Baltimore that were willing to let me use their space, and then I could sell tickets, and I could market the events, and people would come to my events, and some of them would buy training afterwards, and that would mean growth. So guess what? I was like, why don't we take this on the road again? So I'm going to plan it. I'm going to go across the United States, and it's going to be wonderful. And you know what? I had a contact in New York City, and I booked an event with them. And I had a contact in Boston, and I booked an event with them. And I had an event in Dallas, and an event in Arizona, and I was going to sell tickets, and I was going to show them my dream, and I was going to share my passion, and I was going to make people laugh, and they were going to give me loads of... No. 4 events, 4 different cities, I didn't sell a single ticket for a single event. Yeah. That was hard because I had chosen this to make a living. I had chosen it to make ends meet. Now, granted, I was doing the things that I love, but the mortgage company doesn't care that you didn't get a gig this week. So I thought, if I'm passionate and if I love this and I share that passion and that vision, why aren't the people coming? Why aren't they showing up? And so I got some wisdom and some truth from my good friend Pete. And he said, you know what, Mike? Maybe the world just isn't ready for Mike Sheila Consulting. And I thought about that. And it forced me to take a look at my priorities and what was truly important to me. Yes, my message was important to me and burned a fire in me. And I enjoyed sharing it. But ultimately, there are things that are important in my life, like paying the mortgage and my sanity. And I wanted those things back because I had lost them in the year that I was on my own. So I don't want you to be discouraged from starting your own business. What I will say is come talk to me, because at the very least, I can tell you what not to do. Thank you all very much for your time this evening.
Another great presentation by Mike Sheila. Thank you so much. Our next presenter is Brooke Haggerty. Haggerty, my apologies. I know. Most of us know Brooke as the general manager of Bud's at Silver Run, or as the owner of Gunner's Grill, or better yet, as the food chick, as she has had great success selling her signature soups, breads, homemade chips, and so much more at Westminster's Farmers Market and other local farmers markets in the area. We are happy to report that business has taken off so much for Brooke that she is now looking forward to opening her catering business in its new location in downtown Westminster at 2 Washington Road. While her food is amazing, Brooke also has a more personal story to share with us this evening. Brooke's personal life took a major blow on February 1st, 2016, when her only child, Zachary, was killed by a drunk driver. Since that time, Brooke has worked to create a bereaved parents group at Carroll Hospice called Mending Hearts, which meets monthly. She is also a speaker for Catherine's Cause, a local forum that holds bi-monthly meetings for DUI and DWI offenders. Her goal is to put an end to this 100% preventable action. Do not drive drunk. Survival and revival have become her mantra as she strives every day to honor her son by living the best life possible. How does she do that, you ask? By giving back to the community that has helped her so much, by helping others in ways she never thought she could, and of course by preparing delicious food. Please welcome Brooke as she enlightens us with survival and revival and giving back.
Hello, and thank you all for being here to celebrate the life of Zachary Wolf Pressman. A life that was more than well lived. Zachary lived more in 24 years than most people live in 100 years. His contagious and infectious smile will be forever remembered by all of us for as long as we live. Zachary had the innate ability to make everyone feel at ease and comfortable. Remember that. Remember that when you see someone new, when you see someone who looks lost. Remember that when you hold the door open for a stranger. Remember that, especially when you look in the mirror. Zachary touched each of us in a different way. Please never lose sight of the way he touched you. These are the words that I spoke when I eulogized my son on February 4th, 2016. On February 1st, 2016, my life and the lives of the many people who knew and loved Zachary Wolf Pressman were forever changed when he was tragically killed in an automobile crash. This was no accident. This was completely and totally 100% preventable. How do I know this, you ask? Because Zachary was killed by a drunk driver. Drunk driving is the only cause of death that is, and I say it again and wholeheartedly, completely and totally 100% preventable. My boy, my life, my only child. Look at that nice young man. Since Zachary's death, I started volunteering my time with a group called Catherine's Cause. Catherine's Cause is a group dedicated to wiping out drunk driving. I speak every other month to DUI offenders, sharing the story of my son's death. It is quite possibly one of the hardest things that I do in my life, but I do it to help stop one more death from occurring. In this age of cell phones and Uber, there is always someone to call. I'm not saying you can't drink. Hell, I had 2 drinks before I got up here. What I'm saying to you is don't drink and drive. I have a driver tonight. My wonderful sister is here tonight and my loving husband. And they will make sure that I don't drink and drive. That's my Zachary at one of the many music festivals he went to. When Zachary died, I needed help. Drunk driving is the only cause of death that I say again is completely and totally 100% preventable. Since Zachary's death, I started volunteering my time with Catherine's Cause. I already said that and I apologize. I needed help, and I began going to parent bereavement groups in Baltimore and Gettysburg after discovering that there were no parent bereavement groups in Carroll County. Believe it or not, there was a pet bereavement group, but nothing for parents. Being me, I made a phone call to a dear friend in high places and was able to get in front of the executive director of the Dove House. With the help of the Dove House, Mending Hearts was formed in July 2016, just 5 months after Zachary was killed. Mending Hearts is a group made up of bereaved parents. We meet monthly to gather strength from one another and to learn how to navigate this new life without our children. No parent should ever have to bury their child, no matter their age or circumstance of death. The things I've learned since the death of my child: love never dies, never. Bereaved parents share an unspeakable bond. Those of you out there, and I know some of you, we know that. I will grieve for a lifetime, but I can also love for a lifetime. Drunk driving is completely and totally 100% preventable. I stand before you a new woman, a woman determined to honor the life of her child who was taken far too soon. I vow every day to live my life to the fullest, just as my Zachary would want me to do and would expect that of me. Be kind to one another. Make every day ridiculously amazing. Never, ever give up on yourself. I close with these final thoughts from an unknown author. What moves through us is a silence, a quiet sadness, a longing for one more day, one more word, one more touch. We may not understand why you left this earth so soon, or why you left before we were ready to say goodbye. But little by little, we begin to remember not just that you died, but that you lived, and that your life gave us memories too beautiful to forget.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for sharing your story with us. We're now at the halfway point, so we have a 15-minute intermission. I believe we still have refreshments outside, so please grab something and come on back. We still have a whole nother half of this presentation to get through, so please stick around, and we'll see you again in about 15 minutes. Thanks.
All right, so quickly I want to talk about some of the upcoming events the Tech Council has. You're going to hear more about this later, but mark down October the 2nd if you're a board game fanatic. We have an event coming up. Our October meeting is called Hackers, Viruses, Ransomware, and You, and that will be on Thursday, October the 13th at the Nonprofit Center. You will be in good hands with Holly. We also have the STEM festivals coming up for 2 weeks. The end of October and November, we have some amazing events that are taking place. One of them is Tech Trek. That is a day on Saturday, the first Saturday of November, where there are events going on through the libraries. Magic has their hackathon. The robotics clubs will be out and about. We also have Speed Data coming up in November as our educational meeting. We also have our elections. Speed Data is like speed dating, but with better luck. So we also have Technically Speaking, which is our Casino Night and Tech Awards. This year's theme is a speakeasy. We're having in a barn out in the middle of a field, so it has a great feel. So invitations for that will be coming out next week. And then we have our Board Game Maker Challenge and Unplugged Connect, which will be happening on November the 30th at Reeson Community Volunteer Fire Department. And finally, we have our holiday party at Cone Creative. So if you want to participate in any of these events, we'd love to have you. All right, Vince, you're up. I flew through them.
That was great. All right, thanks all. How are we all doing? Feeling good? Right? First act was like, wow, powerful. We got so much more coming. Hopefully, we're going to get a draft coming in here with the doors open. So we're trying to control that temperature because it is really, really hot up here. So I apologize for all of the people that's got to correct all of my makeup and stuff in post-production. You're going to take care of the sweat marks, right, Aaron? All right, I got the big thumbs up. So once again, CTC, we can't do what we do without our sustaining sponsors. So thank you so much to the businesses listed up here and to the foundations below. Your support of the Tech Council keeps technology thriving in Carroll County, and all of these great events that Katie just spoke about, and really it's the educational aspect of what's cool and hip, and how are we all connected, and things like that. It's just really, really fantastic that we have this resource with the Carroll Tech Council right here in Carroll County. So thank you all for that. And once again, to Aaron and everyone at the CMC, please give it up one more time for what they're doing. We've got multiple microphones and lavalier mics and all kinds of crazy stuff. They're going to integrate PowerPoint presentations into the videos that you're going to see on the local channel and on YouTube. So thank you all so much again for what you do. We really appreciate it, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. Okay. Whew. Next up, all right, we have Michelle Boucher, right? Yeah. Okay. After serving 4 years, did you hear the French thing? She's not French, but we're going to go with it. Michelle Boucher. After serving 4 years in the United... No, that's terrible. That's awful. What was that, like Ratatouille or something? Like, I don't even know what I was just doing. I have no idea. It's the heat, people, I'm telling you. The heat is affecting. Okay, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. Great intermission. Thank you so much to all the people that we just saw up there before. Now we have Michelle Boucher. After serving 4 years in the United States Air Force at the Pentagon, Michelle started her first business, a computer retail store, at age of 24. At 26, she was a partner in the software development company. Fast forward 4 more companies and a few years, and in 2006, Michelle hung up her entrepreneurial heels and settled into corporate marketing and speaking in health technology. In 2018, Michelle launched a Business Breakthrough, a 90-day training and coaching program for entrepreneurs and small business owners on how to market their business in today's digital world. Her first pilot program resulted in 3 of her students doubling their sales before the pilot was over. Michelle's passion for each and every person she works with is to witness that aha moment when they finally understand exactly what to do to reach their goals. That, for her, is the definition of success. Please welcome Michelle as she gives us our aha moment and enlightens us on a simple plan to achieve any goal in business and life. Michelle.
Thank you. Okay, you didn't know you were going to have homework tonight, did you? Hopefully you all got this. Thank you, Vince. In between the expanse of our goals and our to-do list are opportunities. If a goal without a plan is just a wish, how do you know if you're choosing the right opportunities? Fill that gap with a plan, and wishes surrender to reality. If I asked 100 executives and business owners, what are you doing right now to grow your business? Experience tells me that 99 of them either don't have an answer or don't have a bigger strategy or are working on the wrong thing. Why? Let me give you 3 reasons, none of which will likely surprise you. Number 1, there is no clear vision of a future destination. In other words, we don't have a well-defined picture of what success looks like over the long term. The second is not knowing exactly what we should be focusing on right now to grow our business and move toward our goals. We chase shiny new objects, get distracted by email, and end up exhausted with no idea of what we did all day. The third reason we struggle or fail is what I call dead-end syndrome, spinning our wheels only to find ourselves in the same place month after month, year after year, because we bounce around unfocused at the mercy of whatever the day brings. A goal without a plan is just a wish. In the next few minutes, you'll learn a simple plan that's so easy to follow, you will never have to guess what you should be doing right now to achieve any goal and realize your dreams. Let me introduce the personal business plan. A 4-step action plan that blends personal and business goals on one single, easy-to-follow page, and it includes a little magic trick to keep you on track. Let's walk through it together. Step 1. We have to zoom way out and define our why. Why are we doing what we're doing in the first place? This is visionary. What's my big, hairy, audacious goal? Where should I be in 3 years? This is where we get to dream big. What financial numbers do I see for my business or myself? What would my ultimate lifestyle look like? What motivates me to do the hard things? And finally, what's next? What would be my ideal business situation and exit strategy? Step 2, identify what must be true in 1 year to be on track toward your 3-year goals. These are milestones and should be specific. What will my sales or income need to be? Put actual numbers in here, even though they may change. What are my deliverables? What products or projects must be live 1 year from now? Or what position should I be in? And then capacity. How much can I scale before I break? Do I have enough resources, production capacity, or bandwidth? Step 3, now it gets real. We build a 90-day plan for how we will crush our 1-year goal. What are the 3 key projects we must do just in this 90-day sprint? Give each project a specific action and a way to measure success. Only list 3 at a time. It's natural to want to write 10 or 20, but more than 3 things overloads our brain's ability to stay on track, and you're more likely to complete 3 things at a time than even 4, and much less likely to give up. Now, write in the date 90 days from today, which is 12/26/18, for those of you still with me, because you're going to do a new one of these every 90 days. That's really the key, because our vision or goals may change, and so like a groundhog, we need to look up every 90 days and see where we are. Am I still headed in the right direction? Did I get these 3 projects done? And then write down and date your next 3 projects. Finally, step 4, and this is the most important step and really what matters, and it's where most of us fail. We have to zoom way in and look at what we should be doing right now, this week, to achieve our 90-day goals. And here's the magic trick. Every week on the same day, take a Post-it note, date it, and write 3 things that absolutely must happen this week to reach your 90-day goals. And make one of them simple, like going to the gym, just to gain momentum and a quick win. Keep this plan in plain sight every single day, and when you find yourself off track or chasing shiny new objects, come back to your sticky note. It immediately recalibrates your brain so you can refocus on what you should be doing right now. Stick with it, and you will gain a superpower of ninja-like execution. No one knows the future, but Antoine de Saint-Exupéry assures us that your task is not to see it, but to enable it. So use this plan to enable your future. Antoine-Marie Jean-Baptiste Roger Comte de Saint-Exupéry was an award-winning journalist, a pioneering aviator, who disappeared over the Mediterranean in July of 1944 and is perhaps best remembered for his novella, The Little Prince. I'm Michelle Boucher. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to be a superhero too. Can you make me a superhero, Michelle?
Yes.
Yes! That's why yes, Katie. I'll do it in 45, all right? Throwing down the gauntlet. That's right. I guess you're going to find out in 45 days, aren't we? All right, our next presenter, Eric Williamson. As a nationally recognized keynote speaker and expert training consultant, Eric believes that no matter how talented, gifted, or experienced, and no matter what role we serve or title we carry, our level of success is not measured based on the work we produce. It is measured based on the relationships that we build. Eric is the author of the book, How to Work with Jerks, and president and CEO of Tailored Training Solutions, who helps companies, associations, and organizations build stronger customer and workplace relationships and high-performing teams. Last year, Eric shared with you about how to work with jerks. But this year, he will share with you about how to not become a jerk yourself. He is uniquely qualified for this subject, having both worked with jerks and admittedly having been a jerk himself once or twice before, right? I think we can all admit to that. Please, everyone, welcome Eric, author of the book, How to Work with Jerks, to the stage. Eric.
For a round of applause, clap your hands if you agree that jerks can be a real pain to work with. Go ahead, you can clap. Don't worry, the person you're sitting next to has no clue you might be talking about them. But before we go any further, let me share with you what a jerk is. In my book, How to Work with Jerks, I define a jerk as someone who doesn't use social skills as a necessary job skill. Now, whether they deny that they lack social skills or just don't recognize the importance of it, jerks, they could be a real pain. Now, I shared this concept with a bunch of people, including some people here tonight. I even shared it with a mentor of mine who laughed me out of the room and said, "Are you crazy? You are the worst jerk of all time. Talk about the pot calling the kettle. You were a real pain in the you-know-what." So I thought about it, and I thought she was right. I mean, if you looked at the word jerk in a dictionary, you would see a picture of me. I mean, I lashed out at people if I didn't like what they had to say. I told people to shut up or get lost. If they just annoyed me, just kept yapping away. But I realized my mentor was onto something when people would walk up to me after my workshops and ask, "Eric, how do I know if I'm a jerk?" It's not like people are going to walk up to me and say, "Hey, how are you going to act like a jerk?" So I got to thinking, how can I help people determine whether they're a jerk? And how can I help them prevent them from becoming a jerk in the first place? Like, wouldn't that help build productivity, strengthen relationships? Wouldn't that be a great superpower to have? So I got to thinking, there are two types of jerks. One who's unaware and one who's aware but just doesn't care. Because it's Monday, I don't care. It's Wednesday night at Ignite, for whatever reason. I also realized that we could become jerks in 4 different ways. Lack of generational awareness, lack of training and preparation, too much technology, yes, too much technology, and financial uncertainty. Now, lack of generational awareness can cause a lot of frustration. Right now, we have at least 4 different generations in today's workforce, which is great because it promotes diversity and creativity to solve problems. But when we fail to acknowledge these types of generations and see what they bring to the workforce and adjust our working style to suit them, we can create jerks. And lack of training and preparation is equally as frustrating. Some newly appointed leaders just aren't ready to perform their new leadership role. Why? Because they were promoted for doing their former job very well and lack the skill set needed to lead people. It's like my mentor told me, what got you here won't get you there. And too much technology can cause a lot of frustration as well. It's removed us from the face-to-face connection we were once used to. Cell phones and laptops have drastically altered our human interaction. So it makes us ill-prepared to have those crucial conversations and deal with conflict at work. Also, financial uncertainty causes a lot of anxiety as well. When companies and people that work there face financial hardships, jerks can appear out of nowhere. People, they can get frustrated with the fear of having to start all over again after losing their job, and equally frustrated when they miss out on that promotion or that raise they've been looking for. And also, it's not money or location or lack of passion which makes people quit their jobs. It's jerks. You know how the old saying goes. People don't quit companies, they quit bosses. Well, especially those that act like jerks. And check this out. 60% of the people that are staying at the jobs, they are unmotivated to do their job. They are disengaged, meaning that translates to over $450 billion in lost productivity because they do just enough to stay under your radar and outside of your crosshairs. So who knew that jerks would be this problematic and costly? So what can you do to prevent from becoming a jerk? Well, the first thing is don't do what I did and tell people to shut up and get lost. Instead, if you feel like doing that, before you open your mouth, try this instead. See that awkward silence? That's an example of me telling someone to shut up and get lost. And then coming up with a more appropriate response to delivering that well. Here's what else you can do. Recognize your emotions and understand what's driving you to act a certain way. Write it down in a journal. Take some quiet time to think, because the better you can recognize your emotions, the better you can make sounder decisions. And here's another thing, practice perspective. Remember, we can't always be right. So no matter how badly we think someone deserves to be told to shut up or get lost, we need to see things from their perspective. And it's not just about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, it's about connecting with them because they're human. And lastly, it doesn't matter how smart, talented, and gifted you are, or what role you carry or title you have. Success is based on the relationships that you build. So build those relationships, but don't be a jerk, okay? Thanks.
Great job, Eric. Thank you. All right, next up, I'm probably gonna mess up your last name, even though I'm Italian too. I know, right? All right. Val Giovanni. That's terrible. Val G. We're just gonna go with that. We're gonna try it. We're gonna see what it feels like. It feels a little awkward right now. We're just gonna go for it. All right. Val, this phenomenal woman right here, has been the city manager for Ting Internet in Westminster since 2015. A passionate advocate for better internet with a background in education, she's working with the city of Westminster to bring crazy fast fiber internet and all that other great stuff it can do to more homes and businesses in our community. Val holds a BA in psychology and a Master of Education. She has been a school counselor, a college professor at McDaniel, and an assistant principal in Carroll County. Her expertise and experience in education made her the perfect person to bring a Ting makerspace to life right here in Westminster. Give it up. Today, that Ting makerspace offers year-round programming in and training on the latest tools and technology, all powered by the fastest internet available today, gigabit fiber. Val loves Westminster. She believes fiber is transformative for communities, and access to tools and technology can empower people to innovate in new and exciting ways. And I couldn't agree more with you. Please, everyone, welcome Val to the stage as she enlightens us with Board Game Maker Challenge. Bam! I love it.
I'm a relationship builder. I like to bring people and things together for fun new opportunities. That's why I'm here tonight. I'm going to take two things you've heard about and tie them together. The bonus, you'll be introduced to a fun opportunity. So join me. Design challenges. Are we talking HGTV or changing the world? In general, they're competitions where participants attempt solutions to society's problems. Some complicated, some not. Some not even problems, but opportunities. As you heard Jen Bishop say, makerspaces provide access to tools and resources for design and fabrication to bring your ideas to life. Currently, Westminster has the Ting Makerspace. Soon, we'll have Exploration Commons. I'm from the Ting Makerspace Westminster, where we believe that the internet inspires people to come up with new, fun ideas. We are providing our community with a place to come put those fun new ideas into action. We give you an opportunity to create. I believe Chris Allport has convinced us all that a whole new level of fun exists when you step outside the world of Monopoly and Sorry. Board games have come a long way in my lifetime, that's for sure. And truly, the opportunities for new games are endless. So how many of you out there are thinking yes, like super yes? I know what she's going to say, and yes, I want to make my own board game. Yes, I have just this idea in my head, and all I need is a little motivation to get started. While making a board game may not be the world's most complicated problem, it's definitely an opportunity. It's an opportunity for each of you to come up with something new to do with your friends, your kids, or both on a Friday night. That's what we call a Maker Challenge. Let's make a game. The Ting Makerspace, the Public Library, and the Tech Council believe that there's many creative hearts in Carroll that just need a little inspiration and motivation to create a new and innovative game. So we present to you the Board Game Maker Challenge. By creating your very own board game, you can learn how to actualize your ideas using the Makerspace and other cool tools at your disposal, all while having fun. Trust me, creativity is an incredible stress reliever and a game changer. Use Makerspace technology to design and create a tabletop game and accompanying rulebook to be pitched and played by the public. Prizes will be awarded at the youth and adult levels for best pitch, best gameplay, and the grand prize, best overall. But don't worry, you won't just be left to the wolves. You'll be supported the whole way through by our community of makers. Info Night on October 2nd from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Ting Makerspace will introduce you to the details of this 10-week experience. Also, there will be trainings on all the different types of equipment available for you to use and the design software that helps you to create a digital file for the fabrication of your ideas. I promise, none of this is as intimidating as you might imagine. During one of the stops along the 10-week journey, all the participants will come together to share their progress and give each other feedback on aspects of gameplay. Why? Because this is, of course, a friendly competition, and in a community of makers, we like to help each other out. In order for there to be a winner to your game, there has to be clear and meaningful directions. Yes, rules. We need them, Chris. So we're going to bring in some gaming experts who have successfully created their own game to help you write your game's rules. In a true design challenge fashion, there will be rubrics so that you know exactly what you're expected to produce. There's a rubric for the pitch, where you'll sell your game to a panel of judges, and there's one for the actual game. Those selected to play it will also provide you feedback. In the pitch, you'll be critiqued based on how well you're prepared, the clarity of your pitch, how the game looks on display, the game's X factor, and your showmanship. This is your chance to sell the game. Think Shark Tank. The gameplay rubric takes into account aspects of the game itself: creativity, appearance, playability, player interaction, evidence of use of Makerspace technologies, and the game's replayability. Remember how many times you've played Monopoly? The true purpose of the Maker Challenge is to have fun and get the creative juices flowing. In a world of device addiction, this gives us a chance to fabricate something to share with our friends and family that allows us to spend more face-to-face time together. It also takes many of us outside of our comfort zone with a new form of technology. Remember, as Jen said, all skill levels are welcome. Makerspaces are safe, exploratory learning environments. They're such fun places. So all work and no play isn't the fastest way to success. The Board Game Maker Challenge is a more balanced and effective approach where work is play. So come on out on October 2nd and learn more. I can't wait to play your game.
Awesome job. I love that we have these resources right here in Carroll County, right here in Westminster, and incorporating everything that a lot of the presenters have been presenting. It's just so exciting to be a part of this community right now. I absolutely love it, so thank you, Val. Speaking of someone who's excited about this community, I think Zach Tomlin, being a fourth-generation Carroll Countyan, graduate of Westminster High School, and currently lives in Westminster with his 2 young children, is one of those people, right? Hampstead, right? Give it up for Hampstead. We don't have who here is from Hampstead? Do we have some others? It's just you, Zach. You gotta represent for all of them. Everyone in Hampstead, it's all on your shoulders, buddy. Don't mess it up. All right. At the age of 26, Zach formed Tomlin Technology, located here in Westminster. His combined knowledge of business, information technology, and cybersecurity has culminated in 8 years of continued growth for the company. Tomlin Technology has been recognized by multiple organizations for their business practices and community involvement. Service to the community is very important for Zach. He sits on the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce's Legislative Committee. He has testified in Annapolis in front of the House Ways and Means Committee. He's the treasurer of the Roberts Field Home Owners Association, assistant coach to his children's flag football team, a class of 2018 Leadership Carroll graduate, and provides internships and mentoring to students at both McDaniel College and Carroll Community College, and has been a guest speaker and presenter for multiple organizations. Zach is very excited, much like I am right now, to be speaking at Ignite as another way of giving back to his community while having fun along the way. Please help me welcome Zach as he enlightens us about how to appear important even when you aren't. Zach!
Man, I sounded super important, didn't I? Thank you. First thing first, this is not the TED Talk Fake It Till You Make It. I couldn't get the copyrights to that. Fake It Till You Make It is basically internally, how to appear important is how people perceive you to be. What makes someone important? Well, we all have people that are personally important to us. The two most important people in my life are my kids. But tonight, we're going to speak on influence. That's basically what makes someone important in my eyes. So who do you consider to be important? We got humanitarians. How about artists? Eminem, my man right in the middle. Innovators, philanthropists, politicians, and like I said, Eminem, you know? One of these things are not like the other. I tried very hard to pull your attention away from that, but there's really a very important reason why I included myself amongst the pictures in the previous slide. And that is what I call the power of association. When people see you out in the community with members of the community that they consider important or influential, it gives them the perception that you yourself are important or influential. And yes, that girl in the middle is way too pretty for me. So then we have what's called the power of appearance. I was a professional rapper. As you can see, I look the part. I don't think fans would take me too seriously if I went up in khakis and a polo and tried to spit some bars. So basically, once I realized that Eminem had the white rapper market cornered, I decided I was going to go a different way. I have nearly perfect vision, but you would be surprised how well glasses increase your close rate. These are both current pictures. I'm the same guy. Whether I got my glasses on, my suit on, or my laid-back hat, as you can see I'm wearing right now, doesn't impact my intellect, my compassion for the community, or anything like that. Let's see, where am I? Man, okay. Well, regardless of what I did, whether it be rap, testifying in Annapolis, business, IT, it all went with the same formula. The first thing I did was hone my skills and build value. And value is mostly determined by supply and demand. When you become proficient in a skill that people value, it will make you much easier to market yourself, which is step 2. This isn't about money. This is about building your power of association. I used to sell CDs for a local influential hip-hop artist. I donated my time working at a local computer repair shop, and I offered my time and skill set to some of our local politicians. Now, here's the real catch. When you start capitalizing, when people start consistently seeing you with members of the community, it opens doors for you. You have to have the courage to walk through those doors. It's not always easy. Rinse and repeat. Once you walk through those doors, it's kind of like leveling up. So you go through those doors, you meet more influential people, more important people, and then you do the same thing. Continue to hone your skills and just move on to the next level. So this is awesome. This is my graph of importance. So At first, people are like, who are you? Then they're like, oh yeah, you're that one dude, right? Then they start recognizing your name. It's Zach. And then, can you help me? Eventually, you get to the point when people are starting to ask, hey, how can I help you? So here's my little caveat. When you follow that formula of trying to be important, you actually become important. Now, yes, so congratulations, you are now important. So what do you do with that importance? Well, one thing is it can take a lifetime to build integrity, and it can take a second to lose it. So that's very important to recognize. When it comes to me and influence and being important, there's really one thing I care about, and that's making a difference. I care about this community. I'm fourth generation Carroll County, and basically everything I do is trying to make a difference for my kids. So that is exactly why I care about it. So what do you care about? Everybody's seen Spider-Man, right? Well, maybe not everybody, but right. With great power comes great responsibility, but I got my own little saying, and that is, if you have the ability to help, I feel like you have the responsibility. And so I take that with me every time. And so I'd like to thank Katie, the Tech Council, everybody in attendance, the Media Center, and everybody responsible for putting this on. And hold on, it's coming, promise. Yes, so I was gonna do a Q&A thing, but then I saw the mic and I was like, you know, maybe I should just spit a few bars. So, yeah, so this song is called We're Out of Time. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, Zach. Spit a few bars. I like that. I'm gonna have to add that to my vocabulary. I don't know when, but I think it would be really cool to say that. Yo, I'm gonna spit a few bars, if that's okay with you. Right? I'm gonna try it out. We're gonna see what it feels like. By the end of the night, I'll let you know. All right, Marlene Titus. Marlene Titus is an assistant professor, program director, business and accounting department with the Business and Accounting Department at Carroll Community College. As such, she teaches Intro to Business, Business Law, and other courses, and is responsible for promoting the department to students and the external community. She has been involved in many community organizations, including her current position as a board member and the chair of the Board of Trustees for Carroll Lutheran Village. She was a founding board member and president of the CCPS Education Foundation, was a former president and board member of the Tawnytown Chamber of Commerce, and has been active in many Carroll County businesses and associations and chambers over the years. Marlene is an attorney and is the former trust clerk for the Circuit Court for Carroll County. She and her husband, Circuit Court Judge Richard Titus, and we have some fans, apparently. That's a good sign. And children all live in Finksburg. Their two children, Emily and Drew, are grown and flown and reside in Pennsylvania and Massachusetts, respectively. Please welcome Marlene as she enlightens us with how to become the best board member. Marlene. Do you want this or are you good with it? All right. Are you ready?
Uh-huh. So tonight, my talk is about the process of becoming a great board member and all of those matters to consider before you say yes. If you're active in our community, at some point in time, you'll be asked, can you please be a member of our nonprofit board? I know because I've been asked and have said yes. We're blessed to have many nonprofits ranging from small scholarship funds to large service corporations. Each is unique, has varying sizes of boards, varying degrees of involvement of their board members expected. So the first thing you want to do is to enter into this arrangement knowingly. So ask questions like, what's the age of the organization? Is it a paid or a volunteer position? It's with nonprofits, it's always volunteer. The term, how many years? How many meetings am I expected to attend? When and where? Is there a staff? And if so, how many? Are they volunteers, part-time, full-time? And if there is a staff and existing clients and recipients of services, how much interaction with staff is expected of me? How much interaction with clientele is expected of me? Get a lot of details up front. Another important thing to ask is, how large is the revenue of the organization? Is it one fund that perhaps of $20,000 that's given away every year for scholarships, or is it a $54 million annual budget like Carroll Lutheran Village? Do you do one big fundraiser each year, or many constant throughout? Am I going to be mentored by other board members? Is the term a number of years to allow sort of a learning curve, or do I just jump right in and do it my own way? Am I following the rules or making them? What are any best practices that you have? Do you have workshops, interactions? Are these paid for? Is it outside sources? How much extra time will I be expected to put in each year? And succession planning for officers. Some have very strict rules about moving from member to vice chair to chair. Others, they're still creating that progression. Again, am I following the rules? Are they strict rules, or am I making the rules? Most important, what's the organization's reason for existence? Who do they serve? Ask yourself, do their goals and beliefs align with mine? Are their priorities my priorities? It's very important to know. Do they want me for my time, talent, or treasure? Typically, you'll be asked for one or more of these three main reasons. Are they looking for my willingness to be an extra hand, my professional expertise, or my donations? It's usually all three. If it's time, really new organizations need warm bodies for everyday work before they can budget money for staff. So find out exactly, what is my role? How frequently will you need my help, and what type of work? Older organizations usually have committees. How many? How many am I expected to be on? Do I need to chair any of them? What amount of governing power do they have? Is it all board members or a mix? If it's my talents, do I fill a particular place on the board because of my profession as a lawyer or accountant or writer? Or are you using me to get to my professional connections? If it's my connections, do you expect me to contact them, or will you be using my name? If it's my professional work, define clearly and then investigate, asking yourself, am I able to provide that work, or will it violate the agreement that I have with my employer? Am I professionally insured to do it? If it's not those two, but money they want, don't be shy. Ask. If at all possible, get it in writing as to how much they want from you and how often. Are they looking at a total for the year or for your term? Is it personal funds, or do they want matching ones by your employer too? Details get rid of misunderstandings, and everyone is much happier. So you get all the right answers and you say, yes, I'm going to be on your board. So now what? Again, I know it's the lawyer in me, but start with a clear commitment in writing to a particular term, a year or years. The more details, the better, if at all possible. And what do I do to be a great board member? Well, attend those meetings, be a constant communicator, cheerlead in the larger community, and do what you've agreed to do. Halfway through, assess it honestly and decide where to go from there. But most of all, give them your heart. Your involvement will keep you healthy, create new personal connections, further your goals and the organization's goals. See you in the boardroom.
All right, thank you so much, Marlene. Katie's constantly working. Katie said, do you want to join the CTC board next year? So as Marlene is walking by, she's still walking. I think she's going out to grab another glass of wine, maybe, I'm not sure. All right, next up, Brian Wagner. Brian is another Ignite veteran and has joined Mid-Atlantic Dogs in early 2007, where he became a volunteer search and rescue canine handler with his search dog, Abby. They responded to more than 100 searches throughout Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, and are credited with 2 live finds during Abby's career. Through training and experience, Brian is listed as a qualified search manager by the Maryland State Police. Please welcome Brian to the stage as he enlightens us on search and rescue dogs. Brian.
right, so Abby was born in February 2007, and I have no idea of knowing exactly what her birthday was because at about 8 weeks old, I adopted her from the Carroll County Humane Society. I was going to train her to be an air-sent search dog. We joined Mid-Atlantic Dogs, a professional volunteer search and rescue organization that specializes in providing canine search resources to law enforcement agencies throughout Maryland, Virginia, and the surrounding areas. Air-scent search dogs are trained to find missing people in a given area and are not scent-specific like a trailing dog. They'll find anyone. Humans put off scent constantly like smoke from a fire, and these dogs can identify human scent and follow it to its source. Dogs have a tremendous ability to differentiate scents. I like to give the example of a restaurant that serves pizza. When we walk in, we simply smell pizza. However, when a dog walks in, it smells the toppings, the dough, the sauce, and the seasonings. As search dogs, we were typically given a defined area to clear and tell the law enforcement where the subject was not. To do this, we were given defined areas comprised of anything from 20 to 100 acres. It would take about 3 to 4 hours to clear 100 acres, and based on this premise and using trained and qualified search teams, law enforcement can realistically search 300 or 400 acres in simply 3 or 4 hours using 3 or 4 dog teams. Now you may be asking how you train a dog to work for so long in hopes of finding someone, and the simple answer is time and repetition. We would train every weekend with the team, and we would constantly train at home with things like obedience. Keep in mind that air-scent dogs work off-leash and verbal commands are key. I remember working Abby along major highways such as 140 outside Westminster, Interstate 270 in Frederick, and even Route 26 and the Liberty Reservoir Bridge. To qualify as a professional search dog, Abby was required to pass 6 skill set evaluations. Non-search evaluations included temperament, agility, and obedience. We often put the dogs in demanding scenarios, and knowing how they would react was key. Rarely would a team be sent to a search via aircraft. However, we would still introduce every dog to the Maryland State Police helicopter just to understand how they would react. We would also use things like Halloween masks, loud noises, and even grabbing the dogs, all for the purpose of training. We also passed 3 search evaluations. The first was a mile-long trail with 1 subject placed along it. A second was a 40-acre night evaluation, and lastly, a 160-acre test that had up to 3 people in it and a 6-hour time limit. I also had to prove my abilities with skills such as navigation, first aid, and radio communications before we were made an official team and capable of responding to searches. More often than not, searches we responded to were not widely broadcast over the media. We would respond to anywhere from 1 to 3 searches a month, but have seen that number decrease in recent years simply due to technology. Most searches were for people who suffered from dementia or Alzheimer's and that walked off from a residence or a location, but we also searched for suicidal people, runaway children, and even criminal-related situations. There were 2 searches that I do remember that were somewhat high profile. One was in Virginia, and it was Morgan Harrington that went missing from a Metallica concert from the University of Virginia in 2009. And the second was the murder of Felicia Barnes from Baltimore City. We searched multiple locations in Baltimore and Howard counties based on cell phone data of the suspect looking for her body. Abby had a fantastic career as a search dog, including 2 live finds, the first of which was in Eldersburg down by the reservoir. We found a man who had walked off from a care home there, and the second was outside of Hagerstown. On that search, a retired farmer with dementia was lost in the cornfield behind his residence. We found him as he walked into a drainage swale immediately in front of us and were able to walk him back to his family. Abby was retired in the summer of 2015, just before my son was born, because I didn't feel like I could maintain her training to an adequate point where I felt comfortable telling law enforcement that the subject was not there. They simply put a ton of responsibility on us and respect for our training to trust that when we said they weren't there, that they were not there and they would look somewhere else. She became sick this past December with a mass in her mouth and passed away on February 27th. In the weeks after becoming sick, we returned to search training with her, And after not searching for more than 2.5 years, we tackled a 40-acre search area with 2 missing subjects. Unprompted, Abdi made great finds and looked as if she had never stopped working. Search was truly her passion. Thank you.
Wow, really, really awesome story. Not knowing like what goes into training these dogs, like we kind of have a theme with dog training and board games and things, but like the training aspect is really just impressive. So again, thank you for all that you and Abby did. Next up, we have Steve Lowe. Steve is a graphic designer, a videographer, a musician, a non-dancer, an ideator who also makes up words. Ideator? 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 All right, we're trying a lot of new words tonight, folks. Last names, made up words by Steve. I don't know. I'm struggling up here. I apologize. An ideator. He started 127 Creative in 2015 with 2 partners and is currently developing an interactive app-driven game called Search. He loves startups, especially the ones that change the world. He doesn't see the point of snow after January 1 or mushrooms or cats. He's chocolate and probably red wine dependent as well, just FYI. Please welcome Steve to the stage as he enlightens us about the worst, most embarrassing, most expensive marketing mistake I ever made. Steve, everybody.
Hopefully that's not right now. Hey, everybody. So as a guy who does marketing all day long, this is basically me standing up here confessing my most embarrassing moment ever. The date was Saturday, November 18th, 2017. So I've had less than a year to recover from this. At the end of last year, I was in Pittsburgh test marketing a game that I created with 2 other partners, my brother Kevin and a graphic designer named Kim. There was about a month of bad decisions leading up to this moment, but I'll never forget sitting in a bar, realizing that I had just spent tens of thousands of dollars on the exact wrong thing. Let me tell you about the game. Imagine if Pokemon and geocaching hooked up and had a baby, and then that baby hooked up with the Amazing Race and they had a baby. You might have something like this game that we call Search. It's a new kind of game called a photo race that's made possible by the Search app. Searchers race to explore their cities, looking for specific landmarks. They play for fun, for charity, even for cash. In the case of Search Pittsburgh, people were searching for $10,000. About a month before Pittsburgh, back in October of last year, we held a beta test right here in Westminster before Pittsburgh. John Allen right there won the 3rd place prize. And this is where things get crazy. In Westminster, we learned a lot about how people played the game, and of course we wanted to make a whole lot of revisions, change the fundamental structure of the game, and add new features to make it more gamified. Also, the original plan for after Westminster wasn't to go to Pittsburgh. It was to go to Houston, Texas. And we had already spent several days, a couple of different trips in Houston to build the game. But after Westminster, my brother Kevin suggested that we try a more medium-sized market. Kim and I agreed. We thought it made sense, so we pivoted. But all of a sudden, we had less than a month to revamp the app to include the new features, to create an entire photo race in a city we've never been to, and to market the photo race so people play over the race weekend. Well, my brother Kevin had some ideas for the marketing side, and that was fine because Kim and I were focused on other things. And one of his ideas is, let's set up an ambassador program. Let's find 100 ambassadors. We'll give them each a box of 1,000 cards printed by Cone Creative, and every card has their own little promo code. And we'll tell the ambassadors, for everybody that you get to sign up and play our game with your code, you get $1. And then if the winner of Search Pittsburgh enter with your code, you get another $1,000. You can do whatever you want with the code, put it on social media, whatever. So we recruited bartenders and college students to become ambassadors. Bartenders because they meet lots of people, and college students because we thought they'd be hungry for a little more money. We recruited some Steelers influencers to post on Instagram and to write tweets. Kevin, my brother, big NFL fan, hates the Steelers, as any good human would, but a big NFL fan. And then we also had a couple people doing like a more traditional social media campaign, and they decided we should target avid app users and people that like to play games on their phones, and even higher stakes people like gamblers, because there's a lot of money at stake. Well, the race weekend came, and we continued to hit the bars and recruit ambassadors while we watched the database to see how many people were playing. We were hoping for hundreds of people, perhaps thousands. We got dozens. And on that Saturday night, we're sitting in a bar feeling dejected, and she was ticked. She looks around and she says, "Nobody wants to play our game. Look at these people. Everyone is lazy. Everyone would rather spend $100 getting drunk than $20 to get off their asses and play our game." And I tell you, at that moment, I had an epiphany. It was kind of like realizing where babies come from for the very first time. Kim says, everyone would rather spend $100. Everyone is lazy. And I realized in that moment, sitting in this bar, I thought, not everyone is lazy. Just everyone we just targeted. You see, we missed what I call the law of predisposition. Don't Google that, I just made it up. The law of predisposition says to target people who are predisposed to do what you want them to do. It's not that people that frequent bars wouldn't play our game. It's not that Steelers fans or football fans wouldn't play our game. It's not that college students, we happen to hit Carnegie Mellon to recruit ambassadors who are a little bit upper class and a little less incentivized. It's not that they wouldn't play our game, but they're not necessarily predisposed to play our game. You see, people that actually get out of their house and play Pokemon, people that actually get out of their house and geocache, people that just get out of their house, period, and want to go outside and do something other than sit, those people are more predisposed to do our kind of game. And that's not who we spend tens of thousands of dollars targeting. So we missed the law of predisposition. It was the most embarrassing, most expensive, worst marketing mistake I've ever made. And I will never, ever, 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 ever screw that again. Thanks.
Well done, Steve. I mean, with the presentation, not with the law of predisposition. You know what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not successful. Just give it time, right? We're just going to give it time. We're all going to play. Is there a game set up in Westminster? No? No. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think some of us are going to go to a bar later after tonight, so maybe we might be willing to play a game if the bar tab is covered. I'm just saying. I mean, I would play that game. I'm just saying. All right, here we are. We're at the end. Holy cow, we're at the end. This is crazy, folks. But our final presenter, and someone who I think we can all agree, this is her house. And she built this house. You see, Sandy Ox retired after 21 years as the executive director of the Carroll County Arts Center, this building that we're in right here. She led the effort to purchase it and renovate this beautiful facility and establish some of the Arts Center's signature programs, including Festival of Wreaths, arts camps, musical instrument bank, the Yart Sale, get with the A-R-T, sale. She says it a lot better than I do, apparently. Foreign Film Festival, and of course, the infamous Peep Show. Prior to moving to Maryland, she held leadership positions at the Museum of the City of New York, the O'Neill Theater Center, the Hudson River Museum, and the Rochester Museum and Science Center. She lives on Lake Ligonor with her husband George and currently spends her time traveling and, of course, now breathing. A little easier, right? While Sandy always loved the peeps that appeared in her Easter basket as a child, her rabid obsession for them began in 2006 when she entered the Washington Post's first annual Peeps Diorama contest, and she did not win. But it inspired her to make her own contest and vowed that it would be bigger and better than the Post. And I think we all can agree that indeed it is. The Carroll County Arts Council's annual Marshmallow Madness now attracts more than 25,000 visitors to our community each year. Please help me welcome Sandy Ox as she enlightens us with everything I learned in life. I learned from a peep.
The thing I miss most about being retired is I don't have an IT guy, so these are my slides, but we've got some good pictures for you to look at while I flap my gums. The Just Born Company was founded and is still run by a Jewish family. They've been making Peeps and Easter candy since 1923. Yep, Jews making their fortune by celebrating and indeed honoring a Christian holiday. They were building bridges between religions before it was even fashionable, so I knew they were worth watching. Tonight I give you a snapshot of what they've taught me about business and life. Number one, know your audience. Naturally, the Just Born Company is obsessed with freshness, until they discovered that a large portion of their customers actually open the packages in advance to get them stale and crunchy before they eat them. And then with the nationwide craze in Peep diorama contests, they later found that many customers don't even eat them. They just make cool stuff out of them. So don't assume you know what your customers want. Get to know your audience. Number two, change. For decades, this company just made chicks and bunnies, chicks and bunnies, chicks and bunnies. To remain a successful brand, they had to change. So they branched out into making candy for other holidays and cartoon characters. They even introduced flavors such as maple syrup and sour watermelon. And they even made a sugar-free variety, which to me is sort of like vegan sausage or non-alcoholic beer. But the point is, they changed to keep their production lines running all year long and increase their market share. Number three, only put out your best. When I toured the Just Born factory, I was appalled at the huge amount of candy being pulled off the conveyor belts just because their little beady eyes were crooked or the sugar wasn't perfectly even. I mean, who really cares what a marshmallow blob looks like as long as it tastes good? But they have very high quality assurance standards, and only their best make it to the store shelves. Shouldn't we all strive to only put out our best at all times? And if you're wondering what they do with all that rejected candy, well, they donate it to pig farmers to feed to the pigs. So essentially, bacon is recycled Peeps. Number four, build things to last. Peeps advertise a shelf life of 2 years. And I've eaten one 6 years old, and I'm still here. They make these things to last. Nobody makes stuff to last in this disposable society anymore. Our landfills are at capacity. Now, wouldn't our world be a better, cleaner place if more things were made to last? Number five, we're all the same inside. Peeps come in every shape and color, but inside they're all the same. We love to put that slogan on t-shirts and mugs, but we often fail to live by that motto. We divide our world into classes and political parties instead of trying to find common ground. Please remember that just like Peeps, we are all the same inside. Number six, looks can be deceiving. Just because Peeps are covered in sparkly, sweet, brightly colored sugar doesn't mean this company runs on rainbows and unicorns. Keep in mind, the primary ingredients is gelatin, which is the politically correct term for ground up hooves and beaks. Now, I don't want to dwell on how the sausage gets made, but just remember, no matter what your line of work, there's always some ugly stuff behind the scenes. Number seven, know your expiration date. Just Born must adhere to strict FDA standards, and they would never sell a product beyond their expiration date. You know, we all have expiration dates. I'm not talking about death. You've seen how burnout can cripple a worker's enthusiasm and effectiveness. If you're out of gas, you need to either fill up your tank or stop driving. I don't regret for a minute that I honored my expiration date recently. Don't forget your roots. For 90 years, that sweet, simple yellow chick, the one on my wrist, is still what defines Just Born's brand. Over the years, they could have changed that logo and turned it into different shapes and colors, but they honored their history by sticking with their chick. As you grow in your own professional careers, never forget your roots and never apologize if your roots are just sweet and simple, like the chick. And the final lesson I learned. Carroll County is just one of the sweetest places, and it was a privilege to work here and be a part of this community for 21 years. The support and kindness I received will not be forgotten. Indeed, Carroll County has the sweetest peeps around. Thank you.
Everyone, please don't stop there. One more time for all of our presenters this evening at Ignite Carroll 7. Give it up. I have been on an emotional roller coaster. I never thought I'd get goosebumps from a peep. But I just did, because again, we're talking about this community, and we're all in it together, and we participate in so many amazing ways. And so let's continue supporting each other and telling our stories and igniting the future generation of Ignite speakers. So please, if you know of someone, or if you yourself, a non-speaker here tonight, has a passion for something and you want to share it with us, please don't hold back. Please let us know about it and make this event amazing again next year when we have Ignite Carroll 8 right here at the Carroll Arts Center. Once more, please give it up for all of our sponsors, for the Carroll Tech Council. We couldn't do it without you. To the Community Media Center, thank you guys all so much. One more time for them and all their amazing work. Stay tuned to the Carroll Tech Council's website and social feeds. I'm sure we'll be sharing when all of the videos are ready for all of us to see on television and on YouTube. Once again, thank you all so much for making this event one of the most fun, most enlightening, most engaging, and awesome events that are held each year here in Carroll County. Thank you all so much. Have a good night. Be safe, all. Thanks.